It is me,
Hello.
your local angry Latino man raging in a dead block game for views. Today is going to be Friday, April 25th, 2025. This is going to be the very first Luxion weekend after the Trials of Luxion update. Oh, wait, sorry, this is console. We don't have the update yet. Let me just check on PC. Oh, this is to me one of the biggest Q update that I've ever seen, because especially after the interview, check it out if you haven't already, but especially after the interview where they just mentioned that the community feedback is literally everything. Why the hell do you put that whole interview and then literally not even a month later you drop this on the live server? All this update does is literally nerf one of the oldest NPCs in the game that has been here since late 2017. For those who don't know, what is the Trials of Luxion? Like I just showcased already, is going to be the Luxion replacement. Luxion originally was supposed to be an NPC that sells old event promo items for dragon coins, and it will appear once every 2 weeks, and it will only spawn on the weekend. Some items will be tradable, some items will not be tradable. At first, it wasn't a big of a deal because there weren't many items in Luxion's inventory back in 2017. However, as years went on, I mean, it's been over 7 years at this point. Luxion's inventory naturally is going to keep growing larger and larger while trying to sell the same amount of items per visit. Naturally, it got to the point where there are certain items that would not appear for many months or years, like the Lord Keeper Dragon Egg Fragments, something required for a dragon. It has not been in Luxion's inventory since 2022. Some changes needed to be made. At first, in 2023, they tried Luxion. This NPC will just appear sometimes, and all you need to do is just vote for very specific items. Once you vote for very specific item, you will have to wait until Luxion just appears, and then it will just sell you those same items that got the most amount of votes for dragon coins as well. So they tried it again with the Trials of Luxion. First of all, instead of just being bi-weekly, they just made it monthly. Secondly, it's going to appear for a whole week rather than just being only on the weekend. And the worst part, now require you to get a very specific item called Venturine. And the only way to get Venturine is by opening a portal, which costs a key called the Unfortunate Soul. That's how the Trove community should be called. And this Unfortunate Soul can cost either half a mil flux, credits, or qubits. Once you actually get into the portal, which there are multiple portals, each and every single one is divided by difficulty. It starts out in difficulty 10, which is U7, and it ends in difficulty 15 or U12. And of course, the higher the difficulty, the more venturing that you're going to get from enemies. Once you enter into the portal, there's going to be 3 NPC at your spawn: Luxion with Luxion, a robot, and a cactus with a donation station. The robot and the cactus has a daily quest, and Primalux has 3 quests that you can just complete them per portal, which is just mainly defeating the enemies inside all of the biome. Once you do complete the 3 quests from Primalux in that portal, you're going to get the Luxion's pack fulfilled, and that will allow you to advance either to one higher difficulty. So if you're doing difficulty 10, you are going to advance to difficulty 11, so on and so forth. So you can just repeat the same 3 Primalux quests more and more so you can get more venturing. Or you can just turn on the pack fulfill and just lose the buff that allows you to get into the portal, and you get a large sum of reward. Once you actually have enough venturing, you can turn them into Signet, which allows you to craft all of the previous Luxion items. And you better use them fast because those items have a decay. Oh yeah, and they still cost dragon coin.
Are you serious, my brother?
So in other words, you're spending God knows how long in getting all of the venturing just to get these items. Need I remind you that these are all promo items and event items. And as far as I know, I believe now all of the items are untradeable instead of some items being untradeable. And that was just an explanation regarding this update. Not a full explanation, but just a explanation regarding this update so you actually have an idea of what it is. There's still some other stuff that I would like to mention. Like, for example, for some reason the player movement speed is limited up to a maximum of 140. So it has the Geode Cave syndrome. I've heard some people just say, oh yes, but you can just bring it back to like old school. No, why the hell am I going to be limited to 140 movement speed? And I don't want to hear any bullshit just being like, but old school Trove, you used to play in like that amount of movement speed. No, because everyone used to use the Neon Ninja. Neon Ninja could easily get to 200 movement speed even back in 2017. It makes absolutely no sense. The players are spending time and effort in getting their stats up, but once you actually get to a certain point, the game decided to be like, you know what, let me just limit everything that you build up until that point. Also, for the most part, all you're doing is just defeating enemies. There's already plenty of enemies, so having insane amount of movement speed only helps out in just traveling from one biome all the way to the outer ring biome. This update is so bad. Just a recap for everything that I just talked about right now. First of all, it drops a little over 5 months after the tutorial update. And this one dropped out of nowhere, by the way. And what we ended up just getting was Luxion is no longer a bi-weekly NPC that spawns on the weekend. It's now a monthly event, which sucks since we already have monthly events. And if it spawns at the same time as the actual monthly events, which ended up happening in the Bumfest event, where Bumfest and the first Trials of Luxion, both of them started at the exact same date. Second, it now requires a key to access the materials that are required in order for you to craft old items that were previously already in Luxion's inventory. So you have to do a lot of things to get the same stuff that you will be able to get from an NPC that was there since 2017. Third, there's item decay, so you essentially just start from zero every single time a new event just starts. And then fourth is going to be that all of the items are going to be now untradeable, and it still costs dragon coins, so you still had to spend a lot of time to get the one new resource, and then you will still have to spend dragon coins, and dragon coins are needed for, well, dragons, something that is much more important than all mastery item that a lot of people are not going to end up crafting unless they're just willing to max out in terms of mastery. And all of that being on a place that costs flux, credits, or cubits to enter, takes an unnecessary amount of time because of the limited movement speed, and that is something that it thinks that it feels more important than it actually is with the donation station, that it feels like, oh wow, we just brought back the Snowfest donation station. No, you didn't. The Snowfest donation station, the reason why it was so good, it was because it granted you resources like Dragon Coin, Chaos Chest, and all of those resources that were very important in terms of progression. All you do in this new donation station is literally just donate some of those same resources, which by the way increases in prices every single time you do donate, which is one of the stupidest mechanics that they've ever implemented. I don't know why they keep just adding it, but just wanted to point that out there. And all you end up getting is just venturing the resources that you are already grinding to get some of those old items that were in previously in Luxion. You are donating to get the same item. Yeah, there's absolutely no redeeming quality in this update. Yes, there's the VFX changes, but this update is advertised as the Trials of Luxion, not the character BFS changes. And I don't know what else to say. Just ignore this update if you really don't feel like doing anything regarding this update. Just keep doing whatever you were doing before. And if you're an endgame player like myself, you probably is going to end up just finishing this update like 1 or 2 events. Anyway, that's it for me. I don't want to take any more of your time. Probably a lot of people already don't watch more than 3 minutes of a video. If you are one of those that ended up watching more than 3 minutes, check the interview videos where I actually just talk about the whole interview regarding the developers with Game Elevate and all of that. Subscribe for my ego, very close to 6K, and let me know what you think in the comment section down below.